those people might have a good reason not to join the training because they would be in for a surprise, I guess. And surprises are the very thing they are trying to avoid. So, yeah.
And for someone who thinks they've done everything, who thinks that
well, if they think they've done everything, then they don't know they've done everything, and that would mean that they would be at least have to admit that they're a little bit curious whether they can convince themselves as much as they're trying to convince others that that's true. Because it's a conviction. You can never know if you've discovered everything, because then you would also have discovered that you haven't discovered everything.
I'd say I'm a person who's done Landmark or NLP or maybe even dabbled with Scientology, God knows what. Just the smorgasbord.
Oh, yes, these are the nice people. You know what happens, what happens? These people that done Landmark, or they then did, or they did that. Yeah, they did everything, but what they didn't do is do themselves. Yeah. So they didn't develop their own landmark in the sense that they couldn't deny something, and they constructed something on the basis of that was never contradictory with anything, always suited whatever is that promoted life. Yeah, because if they did, then they would have arrived at the same thing that I've arrived at. It's not the thing we bring forward, but what makes it possible to bring it forward. That's the point. And these people, they listen to you. And they recognize certain things that are being said in Landmark, that are being done in violence communication, or all those directions, yeah. And as a matter of fact, how could it be any other way? Because these movements cannot be successful if there's not a point that they bring forward that is undeniable. Yeah, so they have a point. The point is that the problem with it is that they bring that point forward as being the entire point. And that's where they lose track of reality. So in all these movements, there's something that's very realistic and very good and very applicable. Yeah, and that's where they pull you in, because you can't deny that it's doing something for you, and that's where gurus come into place. It's a sort of organized guruship. Is once you're caught in that trap of wow, it actually works. I can't deny it works. Then and you don't see where the fallacy is. Then all of a sudden you have to accept everything else they pour into you. And some of these things look alike because we are addressing the same issues, but there's a really big difference. These systems do not learn from the interactions that they're having, and certainly not in a way that they can come to a point where the Landmark system itself allows you to discover that Landmark itself is a hoax. Well, this is actively what I'm looking for with the systems that I bring forward. They're constructed in such a way that they are attempts to falsify the very system that they try to bring forward. So I really am looking forward to people who can show that we're actually making a mistake here, because I'm not about what I bring forward, I'm about the discovery that it allows, and it means that I would be very happy to discover that I've been going about it the wrong way. Because then I would still be going about it the right way, but I'm doing it even better now. And that's the difference. I call it meaningful relations, but once people get it, I don't care what you call it. From a marketing perspective, maybe, it would be nice if everybody who is smart enough to at least consider themselves as being a limitation has the opportunity to decide whether they want to discover more about what we have to offer. So from marketing perspective, it would be nice if people started referring to it in the way that we refer to it, that's all. But from the result point of view, I don't care. I really don't care. And I don't even need praise for the fact that I help people realize something. It's not about the praise, it's about the recognition of what I see in myself, I see reflected in somebody else, and that in itself is so rewarding, you can't imagine. It's like sometimes we have these sessions where people start attacking and not discovering, and it's almost like they're like elephants in this glass. They're stepping on everything that's valuable for me, and yeah, there's nothing I can do. They didn't ask for the interaction, so I leave it at that. But it's very painful. It makes you wonder: do you want to do this again? Is this really what you want? You can be happy on your own. Why even go through the trouble of allowing other people or enabling other people to discover something for themselves? And then this one occasion happens where somebody, you see the light go on in their eyes, and then all the pain of the past is gone. It's just gone. It's like damn, am I happy that I'm able to experience all that pain, because this is obviously what allows me to experience this reward as well. It's beautiful. Yeah.
One thing, another item which was interesting for me is that I've noticed that trainings in general have a very strange, they can have a strange effect, is that the people after the training can be much more independently effective in their own minds, but they'll alienate a lot of people. And the one thing I've seen in our training is that isn't the case, and anymore. and
hey, we all come from convictions, yeah. But if your convictions are in line with the non-contradictory nature of reality, then your convictions eventually become the contradiction, and then you let go of them.
Yeah.
So this is an example, by the way. This sentence I just spoke, I hear myself say it. I see nothing against it. Everything speaks for it. And now that I've heard I said it, I'm so happy it's on tape.
Mm.
That's gorgeous. That was a nice statement. Yeah? So the convictions aren't the issue. It's if the fact that the convictions themselves could be a contradiction. So that convincing itself is the contradiction that stops the reality behind what you're speaking about to be represented. Yeah. Mm. Then you let go of the conviction, which is what happened in my case, in our case, I think 3 years ago.
So in that way, then it brings something to light for me. Is that so? Actually, what one could expect as a result would be that they're not going to go into the world with more convictions and therefore alienate the people around them. That would be a fair statement based on what you said.
Well, I would say that when that would ideally be the case, but I can imagine that people come away from the training with this new experience, and then they come out into the new world, and there's all these influences again that try to mold you back into this form where society can make best use of you. Yeah, and it could very well be that in the process of discovering yourself and how that limits you in becoming what you could be, you see that mold that society has devised for you no longer suits you. And that in your individual case, that's actually a very rejoiceful thing. Yeah, that you've come into contact more with who you really are, or what you really are, or how that affects the way you deal with other people and the responsibilities that they're trying to push on you. So yeah, I can imagine that if you come out of the training in this mindset where it's really all about finding the unison between people, and you come back into the world and where people are actually only seeing you as a means for their own goals and outcomes, that initially you really need to defend that which you've discovered as being so precious for you. So people would consider that you are convinced, but you don't have to